What an amazing time we live in, that anyone can open a business, start listing their store and making real money without the need to, borrow heavily. The skill set that AI has given to people who previously didn't have it. Any of us can learn a business strategy from a prompt. What is the thing that distinguishes us from other people? And I think the answer to that lies in what we've seen traditionally. It's your connection with your audience. It's your resilience and consistency, and it's your ability to see humanity in sales. What it generates is only as good as your prompt. So the gap between you and someone else doing the prompt may be smaller than before, but the pickiness of a consumer has not changed.
Hello, and welcome to the DTC Daily Podcast. Every week, we interview some of the best e-commerce founders and dive deep into their key growth drivers, uncovering actionable insights that you can implement in your business. But before we jump into today's conversation, a quick thank you to our friends at Saral. Most brands get influencer marketing wrong. They think paying a creator for a single post will spark a sales spike. That simply doesn't work. Successful brands like Graza, Obvi, and Hexclad are forging genuine partnerships. And that's where Saral comes in. It's your go-to platform for partnering with the right influencers, tracking results, and managing everything in one place. Book a demo at getsaral.com/demo, mention us, and get an extended free trial exclusive for our listeners.
Hey, David. Welcome to the DTC Daily Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Kosha. Yourself?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic.
I'm super excited about this one. So David, it's never been easier for someone to launch a print-on-demand business, right? Printify came in, they made it super easy to handle the entire back end. But now with AI, the entire front end of the business, which includes your website, your designs, all of that can be taken care of so easily. Like you could literally have a business running in probably 2-3 hours. My question here is, with so many people having access to this, being able to launch businesses so easily, what is going to make a print-on-demand business successful versus, the hundreds of people who are going to decide to do this and not succeed?
So first thing I want to say is, I think it's worth celebrating the fact that something like that is so easy, right? What an amazing time we live in, that anyone can open a business and, start listing in their store with designs and making real money without the need to, borrow heavily from your parents, find somewhere to store stuff or take an MBA or anything like that. And your question, in a way, makes me super, super excited because, if your question is not, David, is this really possible? But is in fact, David, how do you stand out from the other people doing this? I think it shows you how far print on demand has come. To answer your question, I think it's a question that's being asked across a lot of different industries, jobs, parts of life, right? AI has revolutionized or is in the process of revolutionizing all of our lives. And the skill set that AI has given to people who previously didn't have it, right? Like, for example, I'm now almost fluent in Hungarian when it comes to writing emails, and I never was before. You, Kosha, I don't know, but you could be a really great website designer. Perhaps you never were before. Any of us can learn a business strategy from a prompt. So I think we're all looking for what is the thing that distinguishes us from other people now that we all have this combined skill set. And I think the answer to that lies in what we've seen traditionally, in that it's your connection with your audience, it's your resilience and consistency, and it's your ability to see the humanity in sales, if you like. It's your ability to have a sense of, no, I think this will sell. Because, like you said, creating 50 designs and putting them on t-shirts has never been easier than before. But that doesn't mean you're getting 50 good designs, right? Like ChatGPT, Claude, whatever it is that you're using to generate them, will generate them really, really fast. But it's what it generates is only as good as your prompt. So the gap between you and someone else doing the prompt may be smaller than before, but the pickiness of a consumer has not changed. You are not going to buy a t-shirt that you don't want to have, right? And we're incredibly picky as consumers. I was looking at, I'm a huge football fan, and I was looking at some World Cup t-shirts earlier today, and I was like, I don't quite like the orange of the logo on that. That's not for me, right? The rest of the t-shirt was perfect, but I don't like one element. So you still have a super picky consumer, and your difference maker is going to be your ability to recognize what is and won't sell better than the AI or your competitors or whoever can. So having that eye for it, which is something you can give yourself. And then the other thing is how quickly you're learning the tools and how well you're integrating them and how you're being able to put that into various different parts of the journey as you go. I'm not going to lie to you, like there's more people getting into it than ever before. There are also more consumers out there than ever before, more people buying. We're seeing increasingly that the new generation, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, really, really want a customized, individualized product, right? Gone are the days where everybody just wanted brand name across the front of a t-shirt. Right, there are still some people, but generally speaking, people, which is why you see that, like, for so many brands these days are doing collabs, right? Like, how many different partners did Nike do Air Jordans with, right? Like, how many different collabs do Adidas and other people like that have all of the time? People want something that's unique and individual and speaks to them. So if you can find a way to find an audience that's a niche and really speak to them and tap into the humanity of that, combine that with all the tool sets you have available, learn those tools and know those tools, you can make as much money as you want from print on.
I think you made a very interesting point, somewhere in the middle there when, you said that you need to have that ability to be like, hey, this will probably be, good, or this will probably sell and not this. And I think even, my experience with AI over the last 1 year, I've been writing AI launch codes, our, paid newsletter talking about AI. And one thing I noticed is that AI is good at a lot of things, but AI does not have taste, right? And that's the thing that a human needs to bring into the entire, element, is that the human taste, right? So I want to break this podcast down into sort of a playbook for anyone that's, getting into the business, because you obviously know what works. You've got the inside numbers. So we're going to try and pick your brain a little bit and try and, put it out for someone. So let's just get to the basics, right? I want to get into print on demand. What's the first step, right? Do I niche down? Do I not niche down? Could you help me? What direction should I pick according to you that works?
That will, you've got a couple of broad choices of where you're coming from. If you're one of those people who gets into print on demand because you're one of those people who, that's a great idea for a t-shirt, right? We've all sat there and had those moments where you should put that on the t-shirt. If you've got one of those, the first thing you need to do is work out who that's for. Right? You've come up with a really funny idea for something to put on a t-shirt, an illustration or whatever. Work out who that's for. That's your niche, right? I'm not guaranteeing you it's going to work, but if you think you've got a really good idea for a t-shirt, work out who that's for, come up with other similar ideas, establish who that's for, then go create your Printify account, get your designs on your account and launch your store, probably a Shopify store. If you're someone who just knows that you like the idea of opening your own online store, having your own apparel brand, or you're just looking to make some money online, right? Like, which we all are. I think the statistic I read most recently is 50% or close to 50% of Gen Zers in America believe that they will need a side hustle for the rest of their working lives. So if you're one of those people, you're in good company. There's lots of people out there and you might not have a specific idea. So what you need to do is find your niche. To do that, you need to do your research. There's lots and lots of really, really great tools. At Printify, we have a built-in tool that you can use. But if you don't trust me and you want to go out into the world, you can do your research. Tools like eRank, Google Trends and other publicly available sources of information, many of which you don't even need to pay for. Some you do need to pay for, but a small amount, like $2-3 for a month's worth of information. And look what's selling. If nothing else, like go somewhere like Etsy, a huge marketplace where things sell, and just click through and see what's selling. Etsy will tell you like how many sales a particular product has had in a period of time. There's lots of YouTube influencers who will also help you go through this. But whichever way you choose to do it, do your research. Know like what is selling and find a few examples of what is selling and what people are searching for. eRank allows you to see what people are searching for on Etsy and then work out what it is people are looking for and then design for that information, right? You get the signal. People are searching this. People are buying this. People are adding this to their cart, etc., etc. What design is going to speak to that signal? Work out who that audience is, design for that audience, and then create your designs and upload them. Same if you're doing it on something like TikTok, right? TikTok is a tool where you can see what other people are selling, use your research and go from there. So you need to have a design that you believe is going to work to an audience. There's a couple of ways to get to that, but that's the first thing that you need.
And if you're able to share some kind of numbers or intelligence in terms of, let's say what kind of niches really work. Like, let's say, for example, niching down like dad joke t-shirts or gag t-shirts or fashion, where you kind of style it. If you could kind of break it down into what kind of niches perform really well for a print on demand kind of a model.
Because I could sit here and tell you a bunch of niches, and they'll probably be out of date next week or the week after. Some of the ones you've mentioned definitely are niches in which people are selling. My advice would be if you don't have an existing design and you want to go research based, my advice would be to cross niche. Find yourself a couple of niches that you can see. So, for example, pet owners would be one niche, right? But then there's a lot of pets, a lot of different pets that are out there in the world. So you need to niche down first. So perhaps there's a specific breed of dog, right? Like a schnauzer or a poodle or whatever. Then cross that niche with something else. So, for example, it could be like a geographical location, like, I don't know, Pittsburgh, Ohio, something like this. So you've got, I don't know, Pittsburgh poodles, something like. Go check it with the data to see if it's, don't just listen to some dude on a podcast who's picking things out of nowhere. But my advice would be to look at what's selling and to cross niche, because like something like dad joke, it's going to be way too broad, right? Like that's a saturated niche that a lot of people are selling in. And you're going to have the funniest dad joke that anyone's ever heard and that's never been done before, which like that doesn't exist. Every dad joke has been done. Yeah. So you need to go out there and look at the trends. You're in the right areas, but yeah, my advice would be to cross niche as much as you possibly can.
And so far we've actually only spoken about t-shirts and, but I did have a look at your platform, and obviously you guys offer a host of products on which you can print on. So, if you would like to touch up on that a bit, are there, certain other categories apart from clothing that's actually doing really well, which probably has not been tapped that much, but there's a rising demand in that?
Yeah. Again, that's something that goes through stages. So we have 1,300 different products. T-shirts is the most popular one. And we have various different things which go through life cycles. So like a year ago, we don't actually have Stanley cups on the platform, but we have very similar ones. They went crazy. Every time Apple releases a new iPhone, typically in the fall, that's a product that will go crazy. Certain political events that happen in the world tend to give rise to mugs, right? Like, especially if that political event happens around election time, you can have a mug or a yard sign. Wall art increasingly is something that we're seeing does good numbers. So, like, it seems that people are getting more and more into decorating their homes. But yeah, which product is trending at which time, again, is quite a volatile thing. My advice to people listening would be, don't choose a product purely based off of its trendiness, right? Like, if you're choosing a product because you're seeing a lot of it around, you've already kind of answered the question. You're seeing a lot of it around, so other people are selling it. So you're competing with it. Pick a product that works for your niche, right? So yoga mums who love poodles in Pittsburgh need a bag to put their yoga mat in, right? Or, they need one of those kind of Stanley kind of cups to put in the thing. If you do that, you'll have something that sells consistently over a period of time rather than has a peak and a trough, and your chances are just basically higher.
Understood. But in that kind of model, then you're basically launching multiple different niches, or because you'll hit a ceiling somewhere, right?
Well, no, like you've got a niche and you've got a customer, and you've built a store, and then you're supplying that customer with different products and different designs. The piece of data I can give you is when I look at our top merchants, so like our top 300 sellers that we have on the platform, the thing that really sticks out in the data is their persistence and their resilience, and they're willing to experiment and test. So what they will do is, so I'll give you a good example. We have a merchant called Poppy Rose. She's a huge seller on both Etsy and TikTok. And she will create lots of designs. Like, she has a really good idea of who our customer is. I know that she does an incredible amount of research on that customer and looking what other products are selling. But then she will test a lot of different designs in that niche. She has a human taste, so she's using different ways to generate those images, or sometimes she's doing them herself. She has that human taste, so she's creating a lot, but she's not creating slop, right? You know, it's not like AI slop. It's just like, turn it out. She's creating with purpose, but she's creating a lot. And the analogy that I heard her say in an interview was, if you stick a fishing line in the water, you might catch one fish. If you stick 1,000 fishing lines in the water, you're going to catch more than one fish, right? You're not going to catch 1,000, but you're going to catch more than one. The piece of data I have is that typically the vast majority of revenue that a popular, successful seller is making comes from 30 to 35% of their products. So that means 65 to 70% of products they list don't sell, but they have that 65 to 70%. Like, think about when you go into a retail store, right? A bricks and mortar retail store. You're going to buy 1, 2, maybe 3 things, but there's not 3 things in the store. There's hundreds of things in the store, but you are buying based off the aesthetic of the whole store, the feel of the whole store. The fact they have a store makes you trust it as a brand, and you go in and pick your 1 and 2, right? And that's why if you go to sample sales or end of year sales, they had a whole bunch of the same t-shirt, right? Because no one wanted that t-shirt. They wanted something else that was more popular along. So my advice for people listening is, you need to be resilient, you need to be determined, and you need to be willing to experiment. Use your human taste, iterate quickly. When you find a design that works on a t-shirt, put it on a mug, put it on a tote bag, put it on a pair of shorts, put it on slides, whatever it is. And that's the way you're going to find your success.
So a follow-on question to what you just mentioned. So would you say that if those sellers, that are, you mentioned that 30% of their, SKUs bring in almost all the sale, if they were to only have those 30% on the website, it wouldn't perform as well without the other 60% creating the entire...
Absolutely not. Because when people go to a store, they're looking for an experience, right? Yes, you want to find the thing that you like, click on it and buy it. But you want to feel like you've picked the best one from a selection. Like, it's like when you watch Netflix, right? Most people don't tune into Netflix and go straight to the thing they want to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe the first or second time they do, because that's why they subscribe to Netflix in the first place. But once you've had that subscription for a while, you open it up and you look through all of the thumbnails. You go, this one, maybe that one, I'm going to go this one. And you feel I've chosen the right one. It's the same when you select stuff. Yeah. The other thing to note is, there's nobody who's such a genius that they can pick out the 30% that's going to sell. No one. No one in the history of retail is this person. So don't even think that you are.
Yeah, and I think the best part about the entire print-on-demand model is that you're not actually holding inventory, right? It's actually just a picture that's up on your website and creating that entire experience without any of the back-end issues that you would have, right?
Yeah, it's a license to experiment. It's permission to try. And, your mum's not going to get upset because you've got boxes of t-shirts in her garage, right? Like, all you've got is thumbnails sitting on a server somewhere. There's plenty of server space. It's fine.
Okay, now coming to, the actual design bit. Now, obviously, there will be a lot of new founders that will probably start using ChatGPT or Nano Banana to start generating, designs. But I'm assuming those designs aren't going to meaningfully turn out well in print, right? So there is going to be a process of converting those designs into actual printable files, right? So if you could just quickly walk us through the process. Is that something y'all handle? Is it something that they need to get an external designer to do?
So if you're designing with Printify, we have AI image generation built in. So we're actually looking at all of the different image generation models out there and picking out the best one for you. We have various tools within the design suite that will basically take that design and make it work on print. We also have lots of really easy to use, easy to read guides on making sure that you have a design that fits within the right areas. We'll have warning messages if your image quality is too low, right? We will give you a warning. Your DPI is too low. Increase the DPI. We also do several printing techniques, right? So we have D2G, which is direct to garment. We then have DTF, which is direct to film, which, the direct to garment actually seeps into the garment and a direct to film sits on top. So you're looking at different color guides and designs. We then have something like embroidery, right? And not everything embroiders well. Like if you've got a photograph, that's not going to embroider well. We actually will do the digitization of an image. Again, we have lots of great guidelines on what images are going to work best, but we will digitize your image for you so that you can and embroider it. So that stuff is an important consideration, but really within Printify, our products has come such a long way that within the product now, you've got all of the answers to those questions. And if you're going wrong, we will literally give you a big red warning that was like, nah, you need to modify this.
If just in a quick 30-second guide, you mentioned a lot of different printing techniques and all. Just if you could just quickly cover for what kind of designs or styles, what's the right choice that someone should make?
Yeah, so on garment printing, t-shirts, the two principal methods are DTG and DTF. So DTG is direct to garment printing, where the ink will sit on the fiber of the t-shirt. So if you want a look and feel that's a little bit more washed in and integrated, for example, I'm not wearing it today, but I have a Rolling Stones t-shirt that has that kind of stone washed old band feel. That's a DTG feel. If you want something where you have a really vibrant color, right, and where that color is not going to fade over time, perhaps something with like a prominent logo or something like that, you're looking at DTF. The difference with the DTF t-shirt is because the film sits on top, it doesn't feel quite as integrated into the t-shirt. So when you wear it, it doesn't feel quite as nice on the skin. We've done a lot of work on our DTF to make it soft and flexible, but DTG does feel nicer within a t-shirt. If you want that real, higher level, more distinguished look, then embroidery is a great choice. We have ColorReal Embroidery. So traditionally, embroidery was restricted to 16 different color threads, but now we're using ColorReal Embroidery. We actually dye the thread as it's being put into the t-shirt, baseball cap, or whatever. That gives us over 8 million different color combinations. It allows us to do things like gradients. And then, of course, with embroidery, you get that embossed feel, right? Like that raised kind of 3D layer feel to it.
Awesome. So I think we've covered, picking the right niche, getting your designs ready. What's the next step now?
Yeah. You need to get a lot of those designs, get them on a lot of products, make sure that they're consistent so that when someone arrives in your store, that it feels like they're in a place where it's not just slop and not just, the messy inside of a person's mind, but it's an experience and a singular brand. Then you need to put them on your store, right? Decide where your niche is going to buy. Places like Etsy and Amazon are very popular marketplaces where people go to buy stuff. But we talked earlier about knowing your niche. So you need to make sure that your niche is going to be on there, right? Like, I'm being really basic and overly high level here, but if you're selling to your Pittsburgh poodle mums, yeah, probably on Etsy. But if you're selling to your, beer swilling outdoor camping dads, actually more likely to be on something like eBay. So make sure you're picking the right place for it. If you don't want to do a marketplace and you want to do your own store on something like Shopify, Squarespace, Wix, something like that, then you need to get your store set up. You need to teach yourself the basics of store conversion, which again, you can ask an AI to do for you. You can read a quick guide. Or you can just go look at anyone else's website, right? And see what works. So make sure you have a site that when people land on it, they're going to find what they want and they're going to be able to check out easily. Road test it, make sure it works. Get a friend to buy a t-shirt. Give them the money if they're not a good friend so they can buy the t-shirt for themselves. Make sure it gets delivered and whatever. I highly recommend to order samples, right? Because, we do great quality stuff. We have a really high success rate, and we will offer you a refund or a reprint if there's a legitimate problem with the product. But you still want to know what the buying experience is like and what it's going to be like for a customer. So order yourself some samples. Do sample photo shoots if you can. If you can't, you can use our AI tools. We'll create fantastic mock-ups. It's a new thing that's available to Printify Premium subscribers. And then once your store is set up, you need to get some ads going that will send people to your site. right? The most common way to do that is through meta ads, which have running on Instagram and Facebook, etc. But there are other ways to do it. Don't start doing that until you've read about how to do it. There's hundreds, if not thousands of different guides to doing that. A word of caution: you can use your favorite AI to help you come up with an ads plan. But I've actually seen a few results recently that they're not quite as good as that as you might think, and that humans are still quite a lot better at doing it than AIs. So there's a lot of influencers out there. Chris Heckman is one of my favorites, but there's a lot of them who will, if you type in ads for POD stores into something like YouTube, you'll get a really good guide. It's not as difficult as you might. A lot of people are like, ads, I don't know how to do that. I'm reading data. It's really not as difficult as you think. People like Chris will teach you really simple techniques that are really easy to follow. Get your traffic to your store, see what converts, add stuff. When you're seeing what converts, add similar stuff that you read the signals, and then keep going.
Got it. So we've covered everything up till selling the product. I want to now touch upon the fulfillment side of things. Now, I obviously know you guys handle a lot of it, but I still have a couple of questions, because with clothing, there's always the thing where someone orders the wrong size. Obviously, this is print on demand. It's specially made for that person. I order it. How do returns, refunds, and all of those things work with your platform?
So we have a dedicated support team who are available 24/7 with chat. So if you need to do returns and refunds, the support team will help you do that and make that happen. If you've got a legitimately faulty product, we just ask you or your end customer to upload a photo, send it to us. We'll have a look at it, and then we'll send you a reprint. If it's the wrong size, you have all of the facility you need within your Printify account for arrange that return to happen, and we can send out something new. We are fulfilling to 190 plus different countries around the world. We do it directly to their door. So yeah, it's something that we did, multiple millions of orders, tens of millions of orders last year. So it's something we're really experienced with. And we have that support team there 24/7 to help you out.
So I don't need my own fulfillment or 3PL partner or anything. I just connect.
We do that for you.
My store, and you manage everything. And when let's say a return comes in, someone's ordered the wrong size, that will probably go sit in my inventory. And when someone orders that size, that same product just gets dispatched.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So we handle all of that for you.
Awesome. I think you've covered pretty much everything someone needs to get started into the business. Just a couple of last a few questions before we end this. So based on your experience, obviously looking at some of the successful stores and also some of the stores that aren't doing that well, if you could give me your top 3 best practices that you've seen in the successful stores, and then give me 3 which are the most common in the stores that aren't that successful.
So let's see, my 3 for successful stores. One is know who you're designing for, whether that's because you're designing for people like yourself or because you've done the research, right? That's the absolute number one thing you got to do. My second thing is to try and try again, right? None of us are design geniuses who can just imagine a perfect best-selling t-shirt. You're going to have to try. I see merchants who nail it on the first go, but then don't get it on the second, third, fourth, fifth go. I've also seen merchants who've had to wait months and months and months to get the first sale. Whichever way round it happens to you, you need to keep trying and trying and trying again. Resilience is the key. And then the third thing is always be looking to improve, right? Just because you've had a great month, 1 month, doesn't mean you're going to have a great month next month, right? Like we see a lot of merchants who sell really well during Q4 because it's the holiday season in Q4. Things like Christmas help you sell really well. January goes down. If that happens, compare this January to last January. But whatever's happening, always be looking to improve, because if you stay still, you'll stay still, right? Like how many times do you buy the exact same t-shirt? You don't. You buy a t-shirt, you love that t-shirt, but when that t-shirt becomes old, you don't replace it with the exact same one. You might replace it with one from the same store, but you want an updated new design, a new take on it. We change as people. I'm not the same as a 40-year-old than I was as a 20-year-old. So always be improving. Then what are the 3 things that I see people get wrong? I mean, the first and most obvious one is people give up too easy, right? They launch one one design, they put it out there, no one buys it, boo-hoo, go home, man. Come on, you have to keep going. People who have the arrogance to think that they they know what the customer wants. You don't. The customer doesn't know what they want until they see it. So like remove your ego from it. I guess those are really the big two. I am struggling to think of a third one. Yeah, I think if you get lazy with it, right? Like if you just like, I know what I'm doing here, I'm fine, then I think that's going to punish you.
Awesome, David. Thank you so much for doing this. It's been a wonderful podcast, extremely insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kosha, for having me. And thank you everyone for listening.